Zosa Brocha, this is the last day of Moshe Rabbeinu's life. He's giving the Brocha to each one of the Shvatim, each one of the tribes, before he passes away. The Zos HaBrocha. It says, and this is the Brocha. The Torah could have said, Zos HaBrocha. What's and? Vizos. Asher Berach Moshe Ish Elokim. Referring, in this context, Moshe Rabbeinu, within the context of Bracha, is referred to as Ish Elokim, which is an unusual reference. Elokim is always the attribute of justice. Ish Elokim, the man of Elokim. Es b'nei Yisrael l'fnei Moshe. Before he passes away, so it's obvious. If you just read the parsha, it's the last day of his life. What does the Torah have to say to Lifnei Moshe before his death? So Rashi over here says, what's Lifnei Moshe? Somach l'misoso shimlo achshav Mosai. Because if not now, whenever. Okay? So what do we draw from this? Rashi's quoting the Sifri. Over here, the Sifrino says something very interesting, that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael. What was Moshe Rabbeinu's interest going to Eretz Yisrael? Moshe Rabbeinu did not live a moment for himself. He lived for Hashem. He was negated to God. There wasn't a trace of himself. Everything was for God's sake. And Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, being the context of God's value in this world, because we are the Am HaNivchar, we are the chosen people, we are the Goy Kodosh, we are the Mamleches Kohanim. Therefore, he wanted to give a bracha to Klal Yisrael and to lead them that they should be the true nation to reflect Hashem's will. So he wanted to go in not for himself. He wanted to go in totally only for Kavod Shamayim, for God's glory. So Klal Yisrael should be able to succeed and function at the most advanced level. So in the previous parsha, Hashem says to Moshe, you will ascend to Har Avorim, Har Nevo, and you will see the land. So over there, the Sephora says, why did he want to see the land? He wanted to go in to see the land. Hashem says, you're not going in, but you're going to see the land. That means visually, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see every aspect of Eretz Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu had an ayin tova. He had an eye, nobody had a good eye the way he had. What he wanted for Klal Yisrael. Therefore, his eye had to see every aspect of Eretz Yisrael, to give a bracha to every aspect of it. And Hashem showed him all the future generations, the leaders, the chachomim, because he wanted to give a bracha that within the bracha, everything was included to touch upon anything into the future till the end of time. So the Sephora says, Zosa bracha. This bracha, which is giving now before he passes away, is a result of what Hashem had showed him, the land and all the future. That's what this bracha, that's Zosa bracha. That's Vizos. The Vav is a continuation. And, what do you mean, and? And this is as a result of what Hashem had shown him, therefore now he's giving that bracha, that special bracha. Over here, the Siforno, the Balaturim says, the gematria of Zos HaBrocha, the numerical value Zos HaBrocha is Zu HaTorah. Numerically, the word Zu HaTorah is Zos HaBrocha. So he explains the Balaturim, Ki b'schus HaTorah bircham. It's only in the merit of Torah, that's why they're worthy of the bracha. So Zos HaBrocha, Zu HaTorah. It was known, the Chofetz Chaim writes in one of his Svarim, people, they spend a fortune on skulos, on good omens. They travel, they pay fortunes of money for various things. He says they don't realize it. The greatest skula is the Torah itself. All bracha is contained within the Torah itself. If people would be committed to the Torah and study it and observe it as they should, they'd have all the bracha. They're looking so-called for the all these other quick fixes, rather than addressing, going straight to the so-called to the wellspring, where it's all at, which is the Torah itself. So with the Baal Turim, it's very good. Zosa brocha zu Torah. That is the Torah itself. Because we have the Torah, therefore we're worthy of the brocha. I once went to, years ago, when Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zech Tzarek Levrocha, was living in Monsey. I went to speak to him about something, to be advised on something, and to get a brocha for a Torah project. So after I had finished speaking to him, he was already older. I asked him, I said, could the Rashiv give me a brocha? So he said to me, if the whole project is Torah, you don't need my brocha, because the Torah itself, he says to me, the Torah is the greatest brocha. The Torah is the greatest brocha in itself. You don't need any other brocha. Zosa brocha zu Torah. That's exactly, in the world, Zosa brocha, that is the Torah itself. Because we have the Torah, therefore we're worthy of the bracha which he's giving. That's the Baal HaTurim. Over here, the Orach Chaim HaKodesh explains, and he doesn't say it here, we find that Yitzchak Avinu, that he summons Esav, and he says to Esav, I want to give you a bracha before I pass away. Because Yitzchak wasn't sure when he would pass away. He cites Chazal that if a person is within 5 years of a parent, it's possible he may pass away. So he didn't know it would be within 5 years of his mother, because his mother passed away at 127, or it's 5 years of his father, and his father passed away about at the age of 175. So therefore he says, I want to bless you. He says, Teisa, Lifnei Moshe, before I pass away. So there the Sefarno says, as great as Yitzchak was, the whole concept of bracha is spiritual. The more spiritual a person is, the greater is the value and the impact and the effect of the bracha. So therefore, he says 30 days before a person passes away, the neshama already detaches itself from the physicality of the person. As long as the neshama is embedded in the physicality of the person, as great as he is, the bracha is not effective on the most advanced level. It's always right before a person dies, with the neshama already is about to depart, that's when the bracha is most effective. Because the more spiritual the person is, the greater impact, the greater the bracha has value. So since Yitzchak didn't know when he'd pass away, it was maybe within a short period of time, and he wanted the bracha to be most effective. That's the Sefarno over there when he says to Esav, I will give you the bracha lefnei Moshe before I pass away. So over here, it's Zosa bracha sheberach Moshe Ishol Kim lefnei Moshe. The Torah is making the same point over here. It's right. Could you imagine Moshe Rabbeinu, as great as he is, he was negated, but factually he was still greater. That after his neshama left his body, the value, he was more spiritual. As a result of that, the bracha he wanted to give them was the ultimate, the maximum, that it should be effective to affect them in the most positive way. Therefore, it was the last day of his life, right before he passed away. That's the point the Torah is making. It's Lefnei Moshe, for that reason. Once mentioned that Moshe Rabbeinu did not participate in the building of the Mishkan. The question is why? Why did he not participate? So the Medrash says the Mishkan was built quickly and he didn't participate. Moshe Rabbeinu was slightly disappointed because there was nothing left for him to do. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, why are you disappointed? Why are you so-called a little down? He says, I didn't participate in the building of the Mishkan. So he says to him, your involvement will be greater than theirs. They may have built the Mishkan, but you're going to erect the Mishkan. Because it says they tried to erect the Mishkan and they weren't able to. Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who, because physically you needed a miracle to lift the weight of those beams. It was impossible. And Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who actually erected the Mishkan. Shelcha Gadol Mishlam, your participation is greater than theirs. He didn't. Because before he turned around, it was all done. We find in the Siyum, the princes donated the precious stones, the colored stones for the Choshen, for the breastplate that was worn by the Kohen Gadol. And when the Torah writes the word Nesiyim, it's written, deleted, the Yud is missing. Why is it missing? To indicate that their participation in the Mishkan was deficient. Because they had said let Klal Yisrael do what they have to do, and whatever they fall short of, we'll complete. So because the Medrash says, and Rashi cites the Midrash, nation is atzlu, because they were not sufficiently motivated, they were lazy, laid back, that's the reason why they nearly missed it. And therefore they were only able to give the colored stones, the precious stones that were used for the Choshen. So here, the words they're saying are identically verbatim the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe, why do you participate? Let them do what they have to do, and what they don't do, I will complete. Here, they're reprimanded, and indicated by the Yud being deleted from the word Nesiim, and Moshe Rabbeinu was extolled and praised because of what he did. So what's different? Why is Moshe different? It's not a two-track system over here, a double standard. So we had said then, Moshe Rabbeinu was Nachnu Mo. Moshe Rabbeinu was negated to Hashem. There was no such thing as we could attribute anything to laziness. Laziness is, it could wait. It could wait because there's me and there's HaKadosh Baruch Hu at a very slight level. With Moshe Rabbeinu, there was no I. Everything was Hashem. So when Moshe Rabbeinu said, let Klal Yisrael participate, I don't want to deny any Jew the privilege, the opportunity to participate in building a Mishkan. If in fact they're not able to complete it, I will complete it. That was totally pure at the most extreme level, at the most advanced level. Therefore, Hashem praises him. So he was willing to give it away for Klal Yisrael to have the schus, to have the merit. Then to see him, if there's any sense of self, it's impossible. If you would truly appreciate the value of participating in the Mishkan, how do you delay? It can only be attributed to yourself. Therefore, they're reprimanded. So it's not a double standard. We're dealing with a different type of person. They're one level, Moshe Rabbeinu is the other level. So Moshe Rabbeinu was the person where everything is Klal Yisrael. He wanted the bracha as there. Here he wants the bracha lefnei Moso. He waits the last minute of his life because at this moment, the bracha will be more effective, that they should be greater beneficiaries of the bracha which he gives. That based on what the Sefarno says.